and he has never lost with either of those champions, 18-0. So he was one of the first players to show what Zach could do in the jungle, and as the stats show, he's had a little bit of success with it.
I can't wait. I want to go back and see when those deaths were, because if they're all low level, that may amount to like 7 minutes of being dead all summer.
Yeah,
it would be
absolutely
super cool
crazy
to check out. But Meteos isn't the only inventor on the team. Ever since Cloud9's duo lane of Lemon Nation and Sneaky busted out the Ashe and Zyra combo back in Week 5, there's been a lot of imitators.
Yeah, with all the people playing Ashe Zyra, no one's had close to the success that Cloud9 has had with these guys. You know, Lemon Nation and Sneaky have also never lost with the Ashe Zyro combo. They are 9-0 with these guys. Obviously, when you go 25-3, you have pretty good stats, but this is still impressive.
And it's actually pretty cool because with Ashe and with Zyra, they're both 11-0 in their attempts of playing it.
Yeah, it's something that those guys definitely key on. And when we go through these stats, it's like too much, really, for Dignitas to ban out.
And it just so happens that one of those 9 wins with Ashe and Zyra came against their opponents today. Team Dignitas. In fact, Cloud9 has beaten Scar and crew all 4 times they've met this summer, irregardless of who Sneaky and Lemon Nation have run with.
Yeah, and to be fair to Dignitas, Cloud9 actually swept most teams in the LCS. The only teams they didn't sweep were Vulcan and CLG.
But if Dignitas wants to avoid getting swept in this series, they'll need to play like they did in the final 2 games of yesterday's quarterfinals.
Yeah, after getting beaten badly by Curse in the first game,
right,
Dignitas kind of woke up, and they looked better than they have in a while. Crumbs, by the way, was amazing on Lee Sin. With the Blind Monk, he got off some amazing alley-oop kicks to Skara when Skara was on Zed. But, you know, he's going to have his hands full today. I know we've talked a lot about Meteos already, but his performance against Dignitas is worth mentioning. In the 4 games this summer, Meteos hasn't died. 13 kills and 40 assists.
And coming into this game, Scar and Dignitas are well aware of the fact that they're up against the North America's gaming giant. But Dignitas is counting on the fact that even Goliath had his bad days.
Being Dig's really important for us.
I mean, we've beaten them so far this split every time, but every team can take games off each other, so we're not going to underestimate them at all.
Oh, we're the massive underdog. This is David and Goliath. You couldn't put a bigger underdog story. Our record's negative, and they're 25-3 with 4-0 against us.
When they come together, their teamwork is just so spot on, and they're so consistent with their play that they're just able to pump out wins after wins after wins.
Yeah, you can't deny it from them. They're 25-3. They're clearly the best.
That being said, they have bad days, which is the same as everyone.
I just think we have to play our game. Like, they put pressures in side lanes. They do a lot of very interesting things in terms of accelerating the game and just very, very strong objective control. And we're really good at being able to create picks and create openings where we can dominate the game. And if we can just capitalize on those positionings and capitalize on just being able to punish them for doing very silly things that they get away with, we should be able to close the best of 3 pretty easily. Well, not easily, but pretty solidly.
And I like what Skara mentioned there about Cloud9's style of play. They accelerate the game, and that's what a lot of people, you see if they're in the lead, hold that lead and don't accelerate anything.
And a lot of the best teams we've seen in League of Legends history have been the teams that know how to play fast and win as soon as they have an edge.
All right, everyone. Now that we've heard from the teams, let's check out today's starting lineups. On the blue side, it's Cloud9. Balls in the top lane. Meteos in the jungle. High and mid. Sneaky on AD carry. And Lemon Nation at support.
And on the red side is the underdogs in this one, Team Dignitas. Kiwi Kid in the top lane. Crumbs in the jungle. Skara, happy as always in mid lane. I'm a Cutie Pie on AD carry. And Patoy on support.
And our featured matchup for the semifinal series is the melee in the mid lane. Cloud9's High versus Team Dignitas' Skara.
Yeah, this one's really interesting because Skara's been searching for his champions to play all split, and so far this summer he's actually ran with 10 different champions, but hasn't found a huge sweet spot with a lot of them because he goes back to his default like yesterday when he played Gragas and Zed when it really mattered. Then we have High on the other hand, who explicitly picks up champions that he thinks are strong in the current game, and that's what he goes with. So this week, we look back to Super Week where Cloud9 banned Ahri 4 out of 5 games because High wasn't an Ahri player. But since then, he has been practicing a whole bunch of Ahri, and he has added it to his champion pool for this matchup.
All right, Jazz, High and Skara are almost ready to pick their champions, but let's first see who you pick to win this match and earn a spot in the Season 3 World Championship. And I think I can guess who the fans voted here.
Yeah. All
right, according to LOLesports.com, 78% of you think that Cloud9 is going to join TSM at the Season 3 World Championship.
Yeah, that is a Cloud9 percentage. Yes. It's actually maybe a little low considering they are 25-3 as far as the fan vote is concerned, but you have to give Dignitas a little bit of credit here, right? We say Cloud9 is 25-3, but what stages have they really played on? This team is so new. They were not even in the spring split of the North American LCS. The only live event that they've played at, I mean, obviously they played a couple MLGs as they were a challenger team, but as far as being in the LCS, Cloud9 hasn't played at a big venue in the playoffs. They actually lost one of their games to Vulcan at MLG during the crowd with maybe the jitters there. And Dignitas is a tried and tested team. They've been here before, and they've had to qualify. So that gives them a bit of an edge in that regard.
We've seen Cloud9 take aggression in that best of one all the time. But when a team has a chance to see what they're doing more than once, something like we saw versus CLG and Legion, where Legion spread out the game to figure out how CLG was beating them and then brought another game. We'll see if Dignitas tries to read Cloud9 throughout these games.
Exactly, and this is just something Cloud9 hasn't had very much experience with. They've been so dominant with those best of ones. And now, with this extremely long prep time, they've had 2 weeks since Super Week, knowing that they were playing either Dignitas or Curse in this matchup. What have they prepared? How is that going to change their game? We'll have to wait and see.
Looks like the Zach is out. The Zed and the Evelyn as well. Meteos wreaked havoc in the last week on that Evelyn. One of the times he chose to play it, showed how to play it. Ezreal Sona cast it on the other side. There's Elise coming in very big as one of Meteos' week 7, 8, and 9 high picks.
Yeah, that's a strong thing right there for Meteos to have. It could also be going on balls. We talk about all the champions that Cloud9 is seemingly undefeated on, and you're just like, what's the lesser of the 12 evils that we have to pick from right here? Let's give him this one. Meanwhile, getting Shen back for Dignitas is actually amazing for Kiwi Kid. I think his two best top laners are absolutely Zach and Shen. He struggled so much this season with dying a lot that the tankier the champion, the more success Kiwi Kid has.
Crumb's picking up the Lee Sin. Looks like he's going to alley-oop some more kicks in here. We'll have to see. It's going to be a tough team to try to do so.
Of course.
We have seen the Ashe and Zyra composition come in from Lemonation and Sneaky, and we've also seen it split up, but not today.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of teams try and take one or two components away from them, but in this game, it was clearly Dignitas's choice to let it through. Zach obviously was to stop Meteos' undefeated streak. They don't want High to be able to put on that gank pressure with Zed. It's actually kind of funny that Dignitas had to ban Zed and Zach away from Cloud9. Those are two champions that Dignitas had the most success with yesterday to actually get themselves in this game. It just goes to show you the depth at which Cloud9 can mess with the team's pick man phase.
And I like the blitz that's sitting here right now, but by not showing that mid, messing with the pick ban phase, they don't know if that's going to be good to play a blitz mid, deny buffs as they usually do. Patoy loves to play that blitz mid, especially as Daydreaming did, like came out because of that.
Yeah,
not because of that, but they liked it more.
And I really wonder what QtPie is going to be going with here. They did not have much success with the Fiddle support in the first game yesterday, but Fiddlesticks Caitlyn is a strong lane that can keep range on Cloud9's Ashe and Zyra. Caitlyn's pretty much the only thing that can survive in that. And look how fast Cloud9 is picking these champions.
They know what they want. Fizz, a few times.
That's the other one that High's been adding to his pool, by the way. I was actually talking with Alex Penn, Cloud9's analyst, the other day, and I was bringing up the Ahri point. He's like, oh, you figured this out. And I was like, the other one's Fizz. And he told me a story about that, saying, well, at first, High was just playing it to mess around because it was fun, and then the more and more he played it, he was thinking,
how viable.
Holy crap, this is really good. And then as they were watching Gamescom, they recognized the strength of some of the Fizz players over in Europe, and they're saying, yeah, you know, High had the theory, now it's somewhat confirmed by what we see at Gamescom. This is going to be really good for us if they decide to run it.
We'll see what Dignitas decides to run on this. Skara looking for his mid lane. Patoy, giving the crowd a good cheer there. Patoy actually, with his, and Edward, some of the most variation of supports played throughout the summer split. So those guys, that Fiddlesticks always coming in big for them when they can't get a pick that they want because of the versatility that Patoy brings to the table. But it is going to be that Diana. Skara's going to try to go full form on this one.
So, I mean, Skara had the three champions to pick from. He had Zed, Diana, and Gragas. Those are the three things that he's mainly played. Gragas wouldn't have necessarily been a good choice against Fizz because he's going to dodge all of his stuff. Diana is a much better duelist, and sometimes matching Fizz's strength with more strength is a good pick. This is actually a pretty good matchup for Skara, and it's fairly dangerous for someone like High to first pick a Fizz before the enemy has picked their mid laner. And especially with all the success Cloud9 has had coming into this year, Fizz is something they've never played before in competitive, and they're bringing it out when it totally matters.
They are ones to try a few things coming into the promotion tournaments. They did put Sneaky on that Jace. We haven't seen it too much. Maple Street pulled it out, but these guys only do things, and it goes into the jungle. We've heard it from Medios when they know it's going to work, or they know they can, put it up in 100%.
And we just have to make sure here that Cloud9 has enough lockdown. We know how they love to accelerate the game and make their turret dives happen. And with this team, it pretty much all has to ride on Sneaky's Ashe. If he's not landing those Ashe arrows, or if Elimination is not setting it up with roots, we don't have Medios on Zac to dive in and create, or even a Kennen who can flash in an ult. The Fizz and the Rumble, while great damage support, do not necessarily have that lockdown utility that Cloud9 is used to.
And to speak a little more about Sneaky and where his role comes from, the Ashe almost works better on him because he's always been one to not have as much CS. Kind of give that up to the team. So it works even better to have him on a utility champion as such.
Absolutely. Sneaky has really taught everyone how to play Ashe here in North America.
All right, guys, on to the map. On to the NALCS Summer Playoffs. Cloud9 versus Dignitas going down. It's game 1.
And right out the gate, this is just such a, as we mentioned in the pregame, favorite that Cloud9 has become. 25-3 is just an absolutely unknown record.
Whoever had a ticket for the hype train at the beginning of the season had a long ride.
I never thought someone would be able to go 25-3 in a 28-game season. That is just so much domination. But then coming in with Fizz is already just injecting risk into the equation, but that's something Cloud9 is absolutely willing to do.
We have to mention that grab of Rumble in the top lane balls, one of his strongest champions. We've seen him thwart 2v1 ganks into the lane. Also a reason that Dyrus consistently picks it now. But we'll have to see if he can continue. Medios did grab that Elise. It didn't go to the top lane, and we'll see what they're trying to produce here for the early game. Nobody really wants to engage. They just want the vision.
And those were some really nice wards by Lemon Nation, getting the red buff ward over the wall without being spotted by Dignitas.
Great
so
ward.
Dignitas actually set up a very defensive setup here, and they don't think Cloud9 actually has wards on their red buff yet. I'm a little surprised Cloud9 even went in for that next ward because they had a great informational advantage over Dignitas there. Patoy's going to take a lot of damage here.
May have to flash out of this one. He is going to try to put a ward down. He's going over the Dragon Wall. Looks like he's going to be safe onto that. Took quite a bit of damage.
Barely made that flash, too. That was extremely close to flashing face first into the side of the wall. He does get away, though, with the Fear and Flash Burn. That opens up plenty of gank paths and potential advantages for Cloud9 to take.
He did manage to get the ward down. Nice sneaky little play as he got it in. Help to Medios here. We won't see Medios, like we said, until he's sure about that gank. So if he starts approaching a lane, we better see that gank coming in. You can see Scar going with his shield first, mitigate a little bit of that damage in the early laning phase with Fizz.
Yeah, that's exactly what Scar does on Diana almost all the time. And this is actually not that good of a matchup early on for High. Scar is going to be able to trade him a bit. And if we just talk about experience on champions, Scar has been playing Diana forever now. And High, as we said, very recently picked up Fizz.
We'll have to see. We're going to be going into the late game on this one. With the crowd control that High brings to the table, Scar's single target focus. We'll have to see how those work for both of the teams. Patoy coming in the backside here to finally give a bit of support after warding, so they may try to go aggressive. But the lanes have matched up even, so it's going to be that slow roll.
Well, we say it could be a slow roll, but this is also Cloud9.
This is true.
How much have they adjusted to this? Because Cloud9 was so good at the fast-pushing game. Then they came back in Super Week and had another very strong performance, only dropping that one game to Vulcan early on in the week. But this game itself, it's going to be tricky. Medios going in for gank.
Scar getting himself in that position to
Crumbs,
get more
though.
CS. That ward in the bushes keeps them safe, but they have to know that that bush is now warded, so Crumbs won't be coming from that direction again.
Crumbs was in the right spot there.
Yep.
If that hadn't been warded, that would have been a kill for Dignitas as he set up the counter gank just right.
Sneaky's win rate, 100%.
Fighting him off a little bit.
Mana still coming up from the blue buff, but it's going to be Crumbs to really get this one in. Medios could repel to make this. I don't think he's taking it. It'll be all right.
Yeah, he's hoping, he's trying to bait Crumbs into overcommitting here, but Scar is also keeping on High. See, High wanted to collapse down, but Scar and Crumbs are working together here, and since they're both ahead of their counterparts, Dignitas is able to counter jungle successfully and pull a little bit ahead in that mid lane.
This is really big for Scar. He's level 3, making high Flash, who is already level 4, but cannot stay in that lane with the shield. Scar keeps putting up from Diana. Crumbs is already starting to deny the jungle, knowing that Meteos was low. They're trying to do everything they can. Small advantages. Nothing big yet, though.
Those are some very good jungle advantages that Crumbs was able to pick there. He took the large experienced monster from both of Meteos' camps in the red side of the Cloud9 jungle. That's actually going to keep him down a bit, and we know how much Meteos loves to farm, and now his gold per minute and total farm is always higher than other junglers. Crumbs aggressively counter-jungling him successfully will go a long way in throwing Cloud9 off of their initial strategies.
And it has to be in a different way. We remember the game where Meteos had both of his buffs pulled and was able to come back in the game, but he was on Nasus that game, which definitely easier. You sit in the lane, help the Spirit Fire, get back in. It's a different story this time, and Dignitas figured out a way to not let him come back so far.
Yeah, exactly. And Meteos has played at least a couple times successfully, but it's never been a couple times, but it hasn't been as mind-blowing of a performance as we've seen on some of his other junglers, like his Nocturne or his Eve that he pulled out last week. Elise doesn't have that same pop for me when I watch him play it, and now, as you see, he's going into lane a little bit and getting a bit of that shared experience, which is very much back to his style.
Going to have to on that one. With him showing in mid, that also triggers the senses of Crumbs here, so we see him start to move out of his own jungle, and they may start to produce something here. And now Meteos is in mid. He's going to retime those jungle camps and retake them.
Yeah, this is very interesting by Crumbs. He's got the jump on this once again. He's a little hesitant in counter-jungling here. He actually thinks he's walking into a trap because he's actually expecting...
It's too quiet.
Well, Meteos could collapse down while High shows up, and he knows Scar is not there to protect him if they do collapse.
He's going to let him come for it.
Not to mention, Crumbs doesn't have any wards set up, so he waited a little while to see if there was a trap, and now he's counter-jungling.
Easily able to take this. Scar is going to call the I'm coming back, so that made time with Crumbs to come out of the jungle, or he may just have to get to mid here to help defend this turret. But looks like he's going to head bottom, actually.
So, actually fairly frequently this season, we've seen Cloud9 lose the laning phase slightly and then crush back in teamfights. They're losing this laning phase by a little bit. And, you know, Crumbs coming down, trying to gank Balls. Balls level 6, though. You don't mess with him.
Good hustle from Balls there, and kind of just sensing the fact that Crumbs was coming down. You saw him backing off the wave already. Good rule of thumb, don't cross the river alone if you have no wards. And that's exactly what he did. Now, knowing where Crumbs is, he's kind of stepping on the edge there. High not getting any pressure right now from Skara. I don't think he wants to full in him, but Skara actually hit 6 after High was 4-3 on over Skara on that one, so he's been losing some experience in that lane.
Dignitas is actually in a very comfortable position right now because Skara talked about how Cloud9 likes to pressure the side lanes, and Cloud9's not able to do that right now. What Skara and Dignitas are doing is they're actually winning every lane individually. Kiwi Kid, more farm than Balls. Skara, 23 over High. And then even I'm a Cutie Pie over Sneaky is up as well. So you can't put pressure on side lanes if you're losing the lanes individually. This is actually Dignitas' time to make moves around the map. They're the ones with the upper hand right now.
And you can see Meteos really focusing himself in that jungle. Crumbs actually going for the Dorans right off the bat for himself as well after his machete. See if he gets any help up top. It's going to be Meteos heading that way, but as of right now, I don't think any of these ganks are really going to be too strong.
And check this out, Cloud9's getting out of those lanes. They're making quick moves. They're not ones to sit around while they're losing multiple things at once. Now that they're back into 2v1 scenarios, and it's swapped at 8 minutes, by the way, so the armor buff on the turret is gone, they might just try to jump right back into that old mode.
Skara still holding a bit of domination in mid on that 20 CS lead. You can just see the aggression. This is not going to fully take him out. Cutie Pie was already on the rotate. So Cloud9 is going to know that they are adapting to the rotation, and they're going to maybe have to do it again. We see Zyra starting to go and ward up the dragon area, so they're not taken off guard.
I did not expect to see I'm a Cutie Pie there. If anything, he expected them to rotate bottom. He just kind of walked around the corners like, hey guys, how's it going? I'm a Caitlyn in middle lane now, and it threw him off, absolutely, and that allowed Scar to win that trade very well.
What they're going to do here, Cutie Pie spending a little bit extra time in that lane, but it looks like they are still going down towards that dragon area. This is the objective we were talking about, where Cloud9 can turn the game, but the Fizz ulti is down.
Yeah, and Cloud9, even though they team fight very well, would be walking into a 5v4 here because Kiwi Kid could ult down. So they're trying to delay while Balls runs down. They do not want to give up this Dragon, but they absolutely want to contest. Dignitas is scared of doing it, and they're running out of time.
They have Ash Arrow and Equalizer. They're waiting for the Equalizer. Once they see Balls coming down in that mid lane vision, they back right out. No Dragon for anybody just yet.
I think if Dignitas would have pulled the trigger and just went all out for Dragon, Balls could not have made it down in time, but they were hesitant because I still think they fear the power of Cloud9, and they have seen how well Cloud9 Dragon fights so many times here, specifically with Ash Arrow plus Zyra. That is an intimidating combo to try to do Dragon against.
That's easily enough time for the distance Balls had to travel there to get back into the game. Coming up on to 10 minutes, it's only a 200 gold lead. That's really come from what Crumbs has done in the jungle.
Yeah, but it's closing, actually. Ever since Cloud9 changed this back, now it's about 150 gold. Crumbs slowing down his farm substantially here as they're going for kill on Sneaky.
Sneaky almost popped up by the Strangle Thorns. I don't think they actually saw him come off the ward they had placed earlier in that bush, so they were kind of tunneling on the pressure in the bottom lane. A good attempt there by Dignitas, and Crumbs being very omnipresent for this game.
Yeah, but he hasn't pulled off successful ganks, just a little bit of successful counter jungling. And even though his first few moves worked and put him ahead of Meteos, his last few haven't. And it's actually allowed Meteos to catch up on him. You look at Crumbs' build, obviously he hasn't shopped and he's sitting on only about 400 gold. But a Doran's Blade versus a Spirit Spirit Golem for Meteos is a pretty big deal.
54 CS over that 37 as well, kind of taken back by Skara in his 80 to 55. The AD carries are just about even as we see Sneaky going for the 3 Doran's build as well. Cop maybe, looking at this and bringing that out. Absolutely.
No, I can see Sneaky doing this build from way back as well. He's writing the book on Ash Zyra at this point.
Some good aggression here. Oh, they do get the feeding time. Chum the Waters goes out to Skara.
Shen!
But it looks like he's going to try to get this down. As Shen comes in, it's going to be on to high. Crumbs has not used the Sonic Wave. He missed it to the left. The Dragon Rage did not kill anybody, but they do take down Meteos.
First blood to Dignitas because of the presence of Kiwi Kid's Shen ultimate. They almost burned through the shield on Scar, but they did not have enough damage, and now they have to back away, giving first blood to Dig.
Nice to have that go on to Kiwi Kid. Have a little bit of strength going for the Dragon now, and it looks like they will not find any contention for this.
This could be very dangerous, however, because there are a lot of powerful ultimates from Cloud9 around both sides.
Whoa.
Equalizer first, Ash Arrow coming in!
They all got out of the Equalizer, which is what they needed to do. C9 tried to drag them back into it and say, kite this way. Dig's not buying it. One more shot onto Balls. Strangle Thorn, no, he actually gets the Vorpal Blade onto him. They're going to continue to go into this one. Sneaky Elimination running for their lives, each sharing the same amount of mana. Patoy comes in. You're not getting out of that one. Beautiful kills coming up for Dig. Now 3-0 with 2 there.
What a start here for Dignitas. 1,500 gold lead. They don't get the Dragon, but they get the fight they wanted. That was a decisive move. Cloud9 was hoping Dignitas tunneled on the Dragon and that the Equalizer could get comboed with the Ash Arrow, but because Dignitas moved unanimously in one direction, they avoided getting collapsed on by Cloud9 and they come out on top in that fight.
Great positioning, puts them on top a little bit more. Finally, a bit of a 1.5k gold lead in favor of Dig with those 3 kills, but still, as usual, the turrets are standing all around the map, so what we're seeing is going to be mostly objective and mostly in the lane until those go down.
Yeah, that Dragon is still a giant point of contention. And it's something Dignitas is not going to let up on because it's actually brought them a lot of success. However, Cloud9 is only down 1,500 gold here, and they might actually start pressing a little bit. Just imagine you're a 25-3 team in the regular season against a team, as Crumb said, with a negative record. Coming into this one, you do not expect to go down 3 kills to 0. I need to see how Cloud9 adapts to this.
Right now they're getting the pinks out. And they looks like they're going to go for this one fast. Pinching in as well onto Skara. Another Chum the Waters coming out pretty low on the CD. Skara trying to get back to a few more harpoons are going to lock him down. He tries to bring it for the safeguard to Crumbs, but it's not necessary. They help each other though, while the Dragon is taken by Cloud9.
Smart move by Cloud9 going for that Dragon right then, because at the time of starting it, Crumbs was actually in the top lane and could not contest it. Then they also predicted Skara's roam down and were able to put a lot of damage back on him. High hasn't had the most success on Fizz though, because even with the catches, he's not doing enough damage to take anyone out.
Everybody is allowed to pick on High right now. Skara has done such a good job in that mid lane of shutting him down. Not even near a Lich Bane where he needs to be as Fizz. And it looks like they're kind of controlling the map. We saw Cutie Pie roaming at 8 minutes to adapt to the bottom switch, which threw High off as well. There's a lot of things I think that Cloud9 isn't aware of that Dig is just continuously throwing at them.
And as far as High getting picked on a little bit, he does not have an easier road coming for a while. Cloud9 is going to have to support him quite a lot if they want him to get back in this game. Scar is going to try to use this window of Fizz being a little bit weak and roam around the map for the rest of it. I'll get into explaining why Fizz is a little weak as soon as we have a definitive window here, because Kiwi Kid is looking for a fight.
Skara mitigating for that lane, going for the Abyssal Scepter first, not that Nash's anymore, switching it back up with the build. He's going to be able to, we see him surviving the Chum the Waters. High, oh.
What a jerk. At least he didn't get the big one.
Yeah.
As far as High's concerned.
That's true.
High's saying, I did fine, I got the big one. He's actually almost trading roles and farm with Meteos a little bit here, because look at the farm differential. It's actually 91 farm for Meteos to 75 of High, and High was the one taking double golems. What's going on here?
It's pretty extreme, not
They're trading a
raids.
little bit.
It's pretty extreme. If anything, it's Wolves, because you're losing a bit in the lane, but he did it on a Siege minion wave, which is to be noted. It's going to stay in the lane longer. He can get back in time, and he's going to be able to hit these up. So still, he is keeping his lane in mind. Well, he has to know he has to get these camps in his pocket, too.
Yeah, so to get into why Fizz has a dip right now, Fizz has the majority of his base damage on his Playful Trickster, his E, which is maxed right now. And he has fairly low base damages on his Q and his W, so he'll get those back, but that's once he hits level 18. Most assassin types have most of their damage loaded into 2 spells, 2 of their normal spells. So they hit a big damage peak at level 13. Fizz doesn't do that. He hits his base damage peak at 18. Also, Fizz has crazy AP ratios, and since he hasn't built that yet, he's not there. He's got a long dip until he either levels a lot or gets a huge amount of AP.
Good amount of damage going on to Lee Sin. We'll have to see what High can do. He's still down about 39 CS right now on Skara. Skara staying in mid, has not been doing a lot of roaming, which we usually see from him, but these lanes being mashed up for some time is probably that reason.
At least Scar's farming amazingly.
Yes.
Almost 50 over High right now. And speaking of things we don't see or see often, but not in this game,
Right.
Sneaky Elimination have not been pulling off the Ash Zyra that we usually see. They've been, in previous games, they were killing the enemy multiple times and putting substantial pressure on the turret just by themselves. I'm a Cutie Pie and Patoy are right there with him in farm and actually have picked up more kills and assists together. Ooh, High's taken a lot of damage from Scar and is down 2 levels. This matchup is Scar just dominating.
And you can see he's going to be forced to build the Zanya's Hourglass first, which is going to hinder that damage we were talking about a little bit. It'll still help once he hits his levels. But he is going to be waiting for the team to really get these engagements. It's not a Zed play. He's not going to be doing that 1v1 anytime soon.
No, and it is so... It's almost hamstringing Cloud9 right now that High is so far behind, because in order to actually get these side lanes going, you can see it's like 2/3 of Cloud9's machine is working right now. Balls is pushing up to Kiwi Kid's turret, Ash Zyra is pushing up a whole bunch, and that's pulling Crumbs in a direction. Crumbs is bottom lane right now. They need High to be doing something in order for this to work and for Crumbs to not have a big impact to push back the rest of Cloud9.
A very good ward gives sight on Meteos. He's going to try to soak up this experience in middle. Skara pressuring the lane down. May just as well go back himself. He hasn't bought in quite some time. 2 assists under his belt. Let's see what he decides to do. 17.5 minutes onto this one. The 3 kills came fast. But after that dragon went down, I think that's the only place we're going to see more on the next kill.
Yeah, Cloud9 knows how to stop the bleeding in most cases.
Yeah.
And they also don't sit on negative things very often. So as soon as they start seeing that they're falling behind, they just went for a dragon. They pulled the trigger and they just go. That's why they say that if they start losing, they're going to lose quickly, because that's just the style they have. It just turns out that every time they try to make a comeback decision, it's a good one, and they end up winning the game anyway.
We'll see what they have. We're only 18 minutes into this one. The average of Cloud9 being lower than most, I believe. May have reached over 30 towards the end of the season, but really holding that 28 near average game for a long time. Right now, it seems like teams have been able to figure it out. They have a season to watch Cloud9. They figured out what the aggression was, and they continuously won. So there were multiple things and plenty to look at.
Yeah, there's a bit of film on Cloud9, to say the least, about how they're pulling off their stuff. But at the same time, how much of it is fully relevant, knowing that so much of it was before the turret changes, and the jungle changes have impacted some fairly large factors of the game. Dignitas seems to have done a great job preparing thus far. Oh! And here's the game.
The flash fear. The Stranglethorn goes down, but it's not going to be enough. Oh, wow. Great play, great initiation. Dig coming out hard on that one.
Just bouncing Sneaky around, and that's because Crumbs has the freedom to set up these ganks. We've seen him living near that bottom lane, and finally they get a conversion. The rest of Cloud9 needs to find a way of coming back to prevent Crumbs from dominating that bottom lane.
It's like the turret, the first one of the game at near 20 minutes going up for Dignitas. It's the bottom one. Not going to open up too much for him, but it is that global gold that's going to help with the lead. They already have it, 2K.
Yeah, across all lanes as well, still doing well. Plus they get that next dragon after taking the kill bottom. Things could not be going better for Dignitas right now. This is such an impressive start by them.
How do we see Cloud9 with the scaling, though? You said for Fizz, we know the equalizer can come from balls, but is it going to come from Meteos and that sneaky elimination combination?
Cloud9 is incredibly confident in their team fight scaling right now, mainly because of the utility that Ash Zyra can bring with the raw damage that Rumble and Fizz will be adding if they get to the later parts of the game. Whereas Dignitas has a almost close to trademark Dignitas composition where they're all really good at fighting in their lanes and in small fights, but if we go to monstrous team fights, they don't necessarily have huge amounts of synergy. Yes, Scar could go in and vacuum people, but he's going to be setting up a support Fiddlesticks ultimate, which isn't the same as an equalizer, say, coming into the fights. So Dignitas actually needs to press this advantage fairly well and do their somewhat patented triple lane push if they want to keep this game going.
A fight in favor of Cloud9 is what High needs right now. Looking at his inventory, he's only sitting around 1,100 gold as it accrues. 500 off of that needlessly large rod, and then the completion of another 500 gold to get that Zanya's, which is only going to be defensive for him, and they're going to have to use it in certain ways. It's not the Lich Bane, it's not him diving in and really causing havoc in a fight.
And this is a highly decelerated game for Cloud9. First turret, as you said, went down at 19 minutes, and only one dragon for Cloud9. They get narrow, though, and there's no flash on Patoy.
That's to Cloud9. They throw down the traps. They get the kills instantly. A good bit of power there, but with the ultimate coming in, Kiwi Kid stops that short of another kill. But Cloud9 looks like they still have it going in. They get the slow. Sneaky's almost out of mana as mid-turret goes down in the engagement. This is a very good draw to the bottom lane. If the root can't get any more. High forced to flash out, but he did Trickster. He goes down as well.
That is a lot of traded kills right there, but in the chaos, Dignitas got a 2v1 push in the mid lane, and it is trying to continue right now. Obviously, High went down amidst all that, and the third kill was picked up for Kiwi Kid, but Balls is actually looking for a fight as well as he's coming down on Scar in mid lane.
Kiwi Kid got pretty big in the top lane, looking at a Sunfire Cape quite soon. The Spirit Visage already finished, and he stayed for the turret to go down. You can see Sneaky and Elimination together can't really even deter him from staying. Oh, here comes Scara, tries to vacuum them into the circle.
They might turn this.
They got to get the kick. If he can put them both together, they're standing right next to each other. Kicks him right into the equalizer, takes down Scara. The 1-for-1, he's in the circle trying to get the Q down with the damage. He will be able to get the Volatile Spider out, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Whew. That is 144 minion kills right there by Meteos, taken over because he is a very high level at this point in the game. Meteos is 14, so is Kiwi Kid, who has been farming amazingly off in that top lane. So let's just take stock of what actually happened here. Kiwi Kid is going to be the one who actually has to have the big impact on this game because so much of Dignitas's gold has went onto him. 7,700 right now.
He has 2K.
Top gold in the game, 2,000 to spend, and really he's the one who has to force the issue in rescuing Dignitas around the map and making the fights work for them. Whereas if we look at Cloud9 right now, it is not High who's in this game. It's actually, for not that likely, Sneaky is the one with the most gold, and he's going to be trying to get a lot going with Ash, but Ash generally doesn't do that.
Oh, right in the face!
Wow.
Cutie Pie takes it to the kisser, and that was indeed Sneaky.
Well, Ash generally doesn't do that. Sneaky does, because he just dueled by McCutie Infinity Edge crit coming in, and now Cloud9 has a potential push here. Kiwi Kid's ultimate just now coming back up if Dignitas wants to counter.
This is Sneaky. This is Cloud9's real first engage. Scar dives in once again, pulls them all in.
Oh, that shot!
Or no, it's going to be Patoy. Where's his ultimate? It is not up. It is up, but he just chooses not to use it on this. They didn't think they had it. Kiwi Kid's so big, he still hasn't spent that 2,000 gold. They're trying to do this without scaling that much money in their pocket. Meteos goes in. The fear.
Can I get him?
The drain tether was not there. Shutdown going on. Zanyas looks good, but like we
double
said,
kill! Are you kidding
way.
me?
We thought the Zanyas would be defensive, but it's enough trickery for High to get the double.
Wow. So he had a tough game for the first 24 minutes, and he just turned it on. So right now, that Shark very rarely hits multiple people, but it got 2 for Dignitas. And then Cloud9 just juggles turret aggro so well that they didn't get beaten up by Dignitas here. A great kickback by Crumbs, but then the dive just continued. Meteos goes in, and High just follows him. Meteos flashes out without dying. Playful Trickster gets one, and Patoy thought Crumbs had this one for sure. He's backing away, making sure High doesn't finish him off. By the way, just W and a Q into the wall so he can still escape afterwards instead of queuing in the wrong direction. Just unreal Fizz play at the end there.
A little bit of damage that Crumbs was not expecting, but he will be thinking about it that next time around. So High still able to get himself into the position to do what Cloud9 does best, and that's pretty much wow the crowd. 7-6 now after not having any kills in pretty much a 4-0. They're still down by about 500 gold right here. They got their first turret in mid, which was big because they had lost 2, and that was on the bottom side, so Dragon would have been open constantly for Dig.
And we got to remember, though, the gold is still close on this one, but Cloud9 takes opportunity whenever they see it. They found success in the mid lane by forcing team fights. They know Dignitas has the skirmish advantage. They know that Kiwi Kid can join fights. They know all that Dignitas does when they win is create chaos. So Cloud9 is doing as much as possible to control this game. They know their lanes are in an okay spot. They know the Dragon is coming up, and they're looking for a fight.
They want this Dragon. They want that mid turret as well. They're going to get one of them here. It's like Dig on the outside.
That Dragon goes down fast.
Crow Storm is up. Ace in the hole goes on to Lemon Nation, but he's on the backside. He still has all of that disengage to throw into the fight. Cloud9, oh, Skara! He was around in the tri-bush the entire time trying to pinch the team, but the rest of Dignitas could not follow to the equalizer right away, and they are getting shredded by Cloud9, and all the attempts Cloud9 has ever tried Dragon, it goes in their favor.
And look at that coordination by Cloud9. Scar was trying to flank around the side, but High caught him with the Shark, and then Cloud9 just crushed Dignitas 3-0 without taking any casualties, and now they can go for a Baron. This is what Cloud9 does. We're only 26 minutes in. We spent the whole first 20+ minutes of this game seeing how great Dignitas was playing, but they couldn't count Cloud9 out, and they just exploded here to a big lead. Wow.
Dragon goes down. Very nice plays by Cloud9. Crumb's doing what he can. He has another minion wave on him, but I don't know if he will have enough damage to take this down.
Yeah, take one more look at this fight as well. High catches Scar, and Scar then decides he needs to go in, but he got hit by the Asher at the same time. So he was really just trying to flash out once it happened. And then as Dragon fights go, Lemon Nation had that Zyra ultimate down to cut off the rest of Dignitas from participating in the fight. And then they chase down the tanky Kiwi Kid, because even if you can be tanky, if there's no one else on the team to do stuff while they're killing you, you're going to die pretty fast.
This Fizzle is just really becoming something that Dignitas is going to have to reckon with. It's not an ace in the hole. You don't block it for somebody. It's an absolute runaway. But with the amount of that displacement they create, like we said, Lemon Nation being able to throw down Stranglethorn, you just place that chum the water on whoever you want.
And Cloud9 does not hesitate when they go in here. So they have the Fizz ult up.
Yep.
And the Ash Arrow. They do the Hawk Shot to lead to almost intimidate Dignitas off and see if there's anyone behind them, because they like diving far past the turret. Rumble is now here. They may or may not even wait for the next wave when Cloud9 is thinking about this dive, but one thing we do know is Cloud9 wants to fight quickly. High's going to look to land a Shark and then maybe go in. Any one of these skill shots landed, they'll go. It can be an Elise Cocoon, an Ash Arrow, or anything from Lemon Nation.
He's got a full back line right now. You see his placement hugging the right side of that wall so he can be in and out as usual. High could throw, but they don't want Kiwi Kid. That's not going to be the fight they want. 10-6 now as they have taken a, not demanding kill lead, but have come from behind to be up 4.
And think about how quickly they killed that last turret and Dignitas wasn't able to contest. Even though there's all of the turrets up on the top lane, Cloud9 wants the important ones, and they probably will go for this inhibitor next. They didn't really use anything to go through on Dignitas. They didn't land any skill shots, but the threat alone made Dignitas back away, and now Cloud9 still might be looking for a fight.
Ultimate's up on both sides for this fight. We'll have to watch where Patoy is. We'll have to watch where Balls is for that equalizer. It looks like Dignitas is going to take a few hits on this. The minion wave is quite far off here coming in for Cloud9, so they're going to have to wait this one out. We're coming up on 30 minutes in the game. It looks like Cloud9 has turned things around after Dig took first 2 turrets and first 3 kills.
This has been such a 180 as far as the game
Absolutely.
goes. Dignitas seem to have Cloud9 on their back foot, and there's the arrow that gets Skara.
Once again, it wasn't the mid turret, Chad. It's going to be the top turret. They want the second tier, and then they want to go in for the inhibitor as well. Patoy goes down by the hands of Meteos. High still following on to Crumbs. They're able to take down the Lee Sin. No, he gets away. The Shenhall was going down, but they did kill on Kiwi Kid before he got into the base with Crumbs. This means Cloud9 has the front door open, though.
Absolutely incredible coordination right there by Cloud9. They landed the one cocoon on the good target, who was Skara. And then everyone just went and did their thing. High pushed Cutie out. Everyone else just piled on. Inhibitor down before 30 minutes.
All it took was a minion wave. What they said in mid was, we're pushing a pushed lane. Let's go somewhere where we can do something. Draw them away from that base, and they got what you say, in that second tier turret, one of the hardest spots to guard because they can just come around you or do whatever they want.
They can just dive through, and the space between that outer turret and the lane that Dignitas just died in and their inhibitor turret is so far that as soon as they get caught, the dive just works. So they chain onto Skara, but also watch High up on the top right, destroying Cutie and the tail end of the equalizer, by the way. It's just amazing, almost unspoken coordination that Cloud9 is able to pull off in these fights, and the dive continues. By the time Kiwi Kid could use his channel, the fight was already over.
Dignitas definitely looking for that bottom rung of the ladder here to climb back up into this one. That gold lead stretching oh so much. Now looking good, 11,000 almost coming in, or 8,000, sorry, coming into this one. I was looking at it backwards. 13-6. That 30-minute mark has hit the game. Cloud9 with their definitive now fighting phase on.
Yeah.
The only time we've seen them falter is in the early game, and if they continue to falter, it will be the loss. The only 3 times they have lost was early game invades, and didn't happen this time.
It's actually really funny how Cloud9 wins games so quickly, but they constantly struggle in the early game. So why does that work? It's because their mid-game and their team fight coordination is so amazing that they can end games extremely quickly.
Right.
And we might see a similar thing here against Dignitas, because Dignitas is already down 2 inhibitors, and they're again deciding to defend an outer turret. The initiation is potentially up for Cloud9. High is on his way. They might decide to go as soon as he arrives. And if Dignitas can't stay here in any sense of the word. If they stay, they're going to die. And if they stay, the super minions are also going to take their base.
Almost the same thing that happened last time, the initiation of the arrow, and then it's going to be High from the backside. Patoy putting a ward down just below himself.
Oh man,
That was
Dignitas.
Gonna try to go.
They're
They're
trying to
trying
initiate.
from Kiwi. He tries to get the flash taunt on the entire team.
No.
They are sitting on the equalizer, cooking like marshmallows. Cutie Pie getting taken down. The flame spitter comes on to add even more heat to the fire. Skara going down by the hands of Lemon Nation before the volley hit. It looks like Cloud9 is gonna push through. The base will be completely open on this one.
16-6 is now the kill score. We're only 32 minutes in, and this is a near indefensible base. Only the jungler and support remain alive for Dignitas, and here comes Cloud9.
There's the 9th turret of the game. They didn't even take down all the turrets on the map. They just wanted the Nexus. And from a faltering start of the game, Cloud9 does find the slingshot and the rock they need.
Yeah, that was a very scary early game for Cloud9. They were down a fair bit against Dignitas. They lost the first 2 towers. They lost the second dragon to them. You can see there's a bit of relief on High there. Cloud9 came back at the end of that one, but Dignitas definitely had a good early game plan.
Dig does not look that flustered. Obviously, having a loss is going to play on your mind, but the biggest thing is to put that behind you. Focus on a problem if there was one, but don't dwell. Or not focus, don't dwell on it, right? Go into the next game knowing that you had an incredible early game. You shut down when this team completely is the strongest and then takes himself into the game.
Yeah, so I mean, Dignitas has also been in this position yesterday. They lost the first game to Curse, and then they came back strong
Exploded.
for 2-0. This is a whole different animal, though, that they have to deal with here, because after having such a strong early game for Dignitas, to then lose the game in 32 minutes, they didn't look demoralized, but that can be a little bit demoralizing, knowing that Cloud9 kind of did what they do near the end of it and won it early.
With all that effort, Cloud9 still finding a way, like you said, to turn on the switch. All right, everybody, let's send it over to Kobe and Freak for a breakdown of Cloud9's Game 1 win.
Thank you very much, Riv. Here we are, and that game that seemed like both trademark Cloud9 and trademark Dignitas.
Yeah.
Dignitas sowing chaos, picking up kills, good laning from Skara, good ganking from Crumbs, good mechanics overall, and Cloud9 saying, yeah, I don't care that we're down at 20 minutes, we'll just win in 30.
Everybody in the beginning of that game loved the underdogs, and they were rooting for Dignitas. They got an early lead over Cloud9, the heavy favorites, in part to the Lee Sin jungle there from Crumbs, early invades, taking away those high priority targets. But man, Cloud9 just turned it up a notch.
So incredible team fighting was obviously a major factor of that. Let's break down some of the earliest stuff, though. So Skara dominating that 1v1. Like, we'll start with the Dignitas leads, right?
Yeah.
Dig made a lot of really big early plays. They got ahead. They didn't seem to get a lot out of those kills except for like 1 or 2 turrets.
That's the thing. Cloud9 did a very good job of delaying Dignitas around the Dragon. Even when Dig had a man advantage with Shen standing United available, the threat of that Ashe-Zyra combo and just the intimidation factor that Cloud9 bring to the table was enough to stall out Dignitas.
And so then Cloud9 eventually got to the team fight phase.
Oh, yeah.
And some team fights were what they, like, those are some pretty crazy team fights. There was one that was really huge that turned the game around, if you want to walk us through that.
All right, so let's bring up the clip here that we have of this. This is the clip that turned around the game here. Cloud9, at this point, are behind in gold. It starts off, this isn't even the tower dive here. This is just a pure outplay from Sneaky besting Cutie Pie. Let's roll this clip through and we'll see. Cutie Pie wants to go after Sneaky because he's got an extra man here, but Sneaky turns it around on him, flashes in after the arrow, and that's just 100% outplayed there by Ashe. Very nice job, and that's only the beginning for Cloud9 because they take that 1 kill and they want to turn that into an objective. True to form, Cloud9 want to shove in onto this middle turret, and Dignitas still have Stand United, so they think they're going to fight this one. Skara is the one who's going to get it. Pause here. He goes in. This is a 4 vs 5 engage, remember. They are working with a turret, so it's not really a bad choice from Dignitas. Seems like they're still on good footing here because the extra turret damage will make up for another person, but Skara actually is going to cancel this engage here. Let's roll the rest of the clip at 50% speed, and we'll see how Cloud9 are able to utilize not only the Fizz ulti hitting 2 people, like Jat said, to burst down Skara, but also the zoning of Zyra. Again, the impact of that Ashe-Zyra is so big with their team, and even Lemonation gets out at the end, flashing away with just slivers of health. Now, Kiwi Kid overextends here. This is probably Dignitas are screaming at him right now because it's a little bit too far. Even though they did get the kill, Meteos goes in, and it seems like now Meteos is overextended, but High is going to back him up. He says, if you're diving, I'm coming in after you. And now, pause again. Okay, High's real deep. Between 2 turrets, he's got to be dead, right? No, he's Fizz, and he has the Zanyas. Roll the rest at 50% speed. This is just beautiful. Up onto the stick, gets 1 kill, immediate Zanyas after the Q. If Crumbs had gotten the second Q off, that would have been a dead fish. And right there, the finish was so good by High. He made sure to thread in an auto attack before his Q on Fizz. And that's the only reason he survived that dive.
And that was just absolutely incredible, though. Like,
split second timing.
You've got to hand that to him. First time we've seen the Fizz come out, pulls out that play in a semifinal match. It's like, all right, it's the first game you're seeing from us. I got this.
Now, there were definitely some doubts early on with Skara crushing him in CS, but that play right there really made up for it.
So very incredible stuff right there. So we look forward now and he's like, okay, so Cloud9. It kind of still looked like Cloud9 because we have had a couple upsets here. Curse came in as the 4th seed, still lost to Dignitas, the 5th seed coming into this one. And in fact, you know, seed 4 versus 6, CLG taking out Curse as well. Another upset there. TSM, 2nd versus 3rd, took out Vulcan as the underdog there. And he said, okay, 1 versus, right? You got another matchup here. You got the 1st seed versus 5th. Dignitas starting out strong. We've seen actually even if they're only slight, you've seen a couple upsets this tournament so far.
I think that's what got all the underdogs' hopes up there, cheering for Dig at the beginning. Cloud9 able to finish it off, though.
All right, so guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when you return, it's Game 2 between Team Dignitas and Cloud9. Plus, Dignitas' manager, Michael Odell, will join us to talk about what his team has to do to pull out a win. So stick around, because the LCS Regionals live from PAX Prime will be back in just 3.5 minutes.